And stand up if you're able. And repeat after me. Oh God. I. Oh God. I am grateful for today. I release my concerns of my flaws. And I see them as an opportunity to grow and to move forward, to step into forgiveness and to grace. And I am empowered with love. And I am empowered with peace, knowing that I am the perfect child. Regardless of how amazing I am, I am the perfect child. And so it is. Amen. You know, we have that, right? That we have a tendency to say, I'm good, but I like me, but, you know, if I tell people that I think I'm really awesome, what are they going to think about me? Sometimes you just forget about it. You put it in your own kind of earplugs and you just say, I'm awesome. Say it. I'm awesome. Yeah. Good, you had it right. You didn't say, Sharon, you're awesome. Okay. So I hope that most of you did get to see the wonderful, wonderful commercial that Rick put together for today's talk, from going from what we call shadow blight to shadow light. And so this is about addressing the shadow within us. And unity is about doing shadow work. And it's confronting that darkness. And this is part of where we had the affirmation, regardless of what we might think. And the song Flawless was quite appropriate to that. So John 1:5 says, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And so from my perspective, there is no place that you can go that the light doesn't exist. And with any sense of darkness, if it's a spot of illness, if your elbow's hurting, if your knee's hurting, you penetrate it with the light, right? We move that energy forward, but there is nothing that the light cannot overcome. Nothing. Unless we just want to let ourselves be in that dark and we want to keep ourselves separated. And the people that I have known in my life, I have known a lot of people that were afraid to meditate because they were afraid in their meditation they would discover how horrible they really are or how bad they really are, because there's a separation in that aspect of like not being good enough, or I've been a terrible person, or I said that thing that one time to my mom. We carry this guilt. But here's the thing, is that the worst thing you're going to find in you when you allow yourself to go in and go through the pain is God. That's the worst thing you're going to find. The other is just that illusion and that thing that you're focused on. It's that shadow. And it's just important to understand that the light is always there. It is always our opportunity. It is always our frame of reference. But let's talk about the shadow so that we can understand how to move through it. So, Maestro. So, everybody has a shadow, but not everybody is willing to accept their shadow self. So sometimes we're like, no, I'm just all light. I have nothing. I have a shadow, you know, and often my shadow will be, well, how come it's working for them? I'm doing it. How come it's working for them? I'm doing it. So there's that comparison. That can be the shadow side. We could also call it jealousy. Oh, my gosh, you've got a jealous minister. Don't listen. No, but we all have things that pop up, right? And we compare. But everybody's not willing to accept it. A lot of us just want to, like, I'm on top of the mountain, then I meditate 18 hours a day, and life is good. And that can be a thing of hiding. Here's the benefit of the shadow, is the shadow gives us an opportunity for growth and moving forward. But it can be in a place where it really causes severe depression and anguish. And it is an unconscious part of us that shows up regularly in my life. I'm talking to me today, okay? You can leave anytime you want. This is a lecture for me. It shows up regularly in our lives. It will show up. And so when we can acknowledge that it's there, it can make it easier to accept, okay, so this is something that I've got, and it shows up, so how do I want to deal with that? Rick? So addressing the shadow involves being honest about the unpleasant and unwanted parts of our personality. So again, that's like where I'm saying, like if somebody's doing something that I am, and it seems to be, they've just got it all together, and I'm like, it's not moving. This is a part of my shadow. And that jealousy or that competitive nature can show up. But when I go, that's not true. That's what you're seeing. So let's look, is there a reason for that? Is there a source to that? And sometimes you don't know what that source is right away, but what I do know is there's no place that the light can't go. So the first thing for me is I forgive them for being successful, which might sound weird, but why I'm having that competitive nature. So I forgive them for being successful. Then I forgive myself for putting my shadow onto them. And it's not that they need to be forgiven, right? It's not that that person needs to be forgiven. It's what I need to do for my work. And so it's forgiving that difference. And for me, this is an awakening for myself of what I need to shift or what I need to change. Now, the shadow can keep us really, really in the dark. So if I'm just always competing or comparing myself to others, if I'm doing that, I'm not moving forward. I'm staying in the shadow. And what will that do? It'll cause me to be depressed. It could cause me to be sad. It could cause me to be totally unmotivated and not care about anything. This is how deep it can go, that I'm not as good, so why bother? Anybody ever had that feeling? I'm not as good, why bother? And that's the shadow coming up. And it's that part that it's, again, not really who we are. And it's illusion. And it could be from inherited belief system. It could be this whole genetic factor. But it's allowing ourselves to tap into that. And this could even be good things that we're too afraid to do. So sometimes we live vicariously through others. Do you know what that means? Like somebody else is doing all of the traveling, all of the things we've always wanted to do. And it's like, tell me all about it, tell me all about it. And we want to do it, but yet we've never allowed ourselves that opportunity. Or it could be that, somebody's doing something wonderful and we want to emulate that, but we think that we can't. And so it can be the good things that we won't allow out. So it could be that everything in you for the last 10 years has said you should write a book about your childhood. And you go, oh, no, but you should write it. But the shadow part is resisting what's good, what's being told for you to do. And so, but here's the thing is we love engaging in other people's stories about their childhood. We like getting that information, but yet we are resistant to doing what is good for us. And that writing that story might even be very, very healing. But the shadow could be, too, that we're denying ourselves the good. And to me, this is one of those things that's really important to understand because we're often raised or have been raised to always be nice, right? And I was always raised to be nice, which meant not saying no. And not telling somebody, an adult especially, that they misunderstood what I said. I just had to let them think that because I couldn't say it because it wouldn't be nice. And so when we get those beliefs inside of us and we anchor, we don't always tell the truth and how we feel because it might not be nice. And so the shadow that we might be hiding from is our ability to speak our truth and to be authentic to who we are, even though that inner guidance, that compass is giving us the information of share your feelings. No, it's okay. It's okay. I got it. No, it's okay. Ever been that? Ever been that person? So when we ignore it, it can have a negative impact on our well-being. I don't know if I need to talk a lot about that, but I'm going to, right? When we ignore it, it builds as illness. It builds as frustration. It builds as anger. It builds as resentment. And we keep trying to figure out what's going on. And it's, again, what do we know? That how we feel, what we think is what we attract. But we can get deeper and deeper, deeper into this hole, into this depression. And it's kind of even like COVID put everybody on their couch, right? And some people are still on their couch with the Excalibur, which is AKA remote control. They wield that weapon all the time. But they're still there because they got into a funk and they haven't been able to get themselves out of it. And so there are things that we can do. What is it? We need to get up. We need to move. We need to open the windows. We need to do whatever it is to shift that energy. But we can get so far into it that we just think we're just broken and there is no opportunity for recovery. And there is always the opportunity for recovery. It's noticing, oh, I'm depressed. This doesn't feel good. I'm not liking how I feel. I need to shift. I need to change. I need to do something different. And we can start by going in and saying, what do I need to do different? And you might just hear, stop eating the box of cereal, at one sitting. That might be something that you hear. It might be go out and take a walk. It might be get a dog, go for counseling, change your clothes. There are all kinds of things that can come in when we start to ask these questions. It doesn't mean that immediately you're going to get this list of things that are so overwhelming that you're not going to do. God's going to give it to you. This wonderful light is going to give it to you in a way that helps you to move in a way that's comfortable and in these baby steps. In those baby steps, it's not going to tell you, do all of this. Now, some of you are list makers, and you're going to go, okay, well, if I do that, then what do I need to do? And if that works for you, that's fine. But again, take it as a baby step. And we're really good at not listening to ourselves, right? We hear it, but I just don't feel like it. Right? I just don't feel like it. I just don't want to because, if I do that, it kind of like I kind of lose my breath if I do that, so I don't want to do that. But if you don't do it, you keep losing your breath more. So it's giving ourselves that permission and making the effort because we're worth the effort. But that wonderful voice inside of us is never, ever, 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 what am I saying, ever going to lie to us. It's always going to lead us on that path. So, but if we ignore it, we're going to have, it's just not going to be pleasant. We're going to be sick. We're going to be miserable. We're going to have issues with our relationships. We're going to have issues with money. It's just going to be this downhill spiral. And no matter and when something good happens, we're going to go, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Wow. That means I got to be prepared because, I just won the lottery. Now somebody's going to come and want to take all my money away. Well, you know what? The IRS took 2/3. So it's that energy, that level of energy of what the shadow is. Symptoms of the shadow can be self-loathing or poor self-esteem. Now, these are just a few things, right? Self-deceit and deceiving others. So sometimes we want to tell people we're better than we are, and we make all these stories about all of our successes that never happened. And I knew a guy once that went around telling everybody he had a metal plate in his head from an injury in the war, and come to find out he was never in the war. And he never had a head injury. So, but this is that deceiving others. It's to draw attention. Anxiety and depression. And I think that we can all probably have acknowledged that a time or two in our life, right? When all of a sudden something is shifting or changing. Offensive behavior towards others. So let me see how you'll act if I do this, so I can be prepared. So it's that I use this explanation for, especially like with people that have been in a relationship that didn't work, or they've been in a whole bunch of relationships that didn't work. So the first thing they do when they start dating somebody, and after they've dated them 3 times, they're going to be a little aggressive and poke them to see how much they're going to take, to see if they're going to be nice to them. So that is a great explanation of the offensive thing. It's like, let me see if you're going to hurt me. I'm holding the trash can lid up and poking them with a poker, you know. So, struggling to have healthy relationships with others. So the key word is struggling to have healthy relationships. So that's, again, a shadow sign. So maybe the people you're drawing in aren't the right people, or maybe you're doing that offensive behavior at the same time. So that can be an example. Self-sabotage. Anybody ever done that? Self-absorption. Absorption. So that's kind of like, so we have self-care, which is important, right? We all need self-care. But there is the extreme of self-absorption. And where we're saying, I have to take care of myself. I have to put me first. But it's at the same time of doing it in a way that nobody else is being fed either. So it's on this taking end. And it's about me. So some people might call that narcissism. Some people just might say that they're in a place of right now it's just about me. But it's not looking at the results of what it's having on other people, or if other people are being impacted or affected. An inflated ego. I am the best thing that ever happened to this church, and nobody will ever replace me because I'm the best thing that ever happened to this church. That would be an example of an inflated ego, right? And if I am the right teacher, the teacher that I want to be, I will inspire somebody to be better than me, at least one person, to be better than me, to know more than me, to grow better or further than I have, you know, to take more out of it. So to me, that is kind of like my vision, is to empower others to grow beyond what I might know, to not hold anybody back and say, oh, Padawan, you're not ready because you're my student. You know, it's kind of like where I was talking last week about Mary Baker Eddy and Emma Curtis Hopkins. That Mary Eddy Baker didn't want anybody going out of her realm and wanted to be in control of that. So that would be an example of that. All right. So triggers can be the things we loathe about others. So if we really hate what somebody does, or we don't like that they're doing it, there could be that part in ourselves that's that has that does that, or that loathes ourselves. It could be that it's a trigger because we grew up in a certain situation and we weren't able to be in our authentic self. And so what we're recognizing are the things that we grew up with that made us uncomfortable. The things we admire and hate about others. So we can admire somebody for what they do, and we can hate somebody for what they do. But the shadow part, the triggers can be, again, I really admire that they're doing this. But why is it working for them and not for me? Because, hey, that's my idea. I'm doing that. So it's, again, giving that example. Now, I'm not like this every day, right? This is the shadow that shows up sometimes for me. So I think you always do better if I'm very authentic and honest with you, so you don't think I think I'm in an inflated ego, which I'm sure I can be in. Being competitive or jealous. So that's one of the things that I was talking about. Being competitive or jealous, and what do we learn? That there is no competition in divine mind, right? So 2 people can be beside each other, owning an ice cream store. They both can be very successful, and maybe one is using goat milk and the other's using cow milk, or, you know, one's more yogurt than whatever. But they could be very successful, or one could be very successful and one couldn't, and it could be because the one is being competitive or comparing. Well, why is everybody going over there? I got the same amount of flavors. I actually have one extra flavor in my shop. I'm nice, but once we go into that place, we are in the shadow. We're living that shadow. So if we're owning the shadow, we're not able to see the light. But remember, the light is always there, waiting. All right. Living vicariously through others, and I brought that up earlier. Has anybody ever done that? I just will watch you. I just admire you. Or sometimes those are the people that blogs are so big today, right? You have all these blogs. And so, like, I love artist blogs or artist things that the artwork that they're doing and stuff like that. But people sometimes will live vicariously, like, oh, I'm going to go here. And they're doing all the things that I would like to do, so I can do that and I get my fix. Because I'm feeling how they feel. But yet we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to really take it and do whatever it is that we're admiring about that. But blogs really give us an opportunity to live vicariously through others. So do romance novels, they take you on vacation. So, but that's that story and that's that little vacation that we can have. So it's important to recognize, are we giving up the experiences that we'd really like to have because we believe that we can't have them for some reason or another? Are we giving them up because we believe that we can't have them? Next, embracing the shadow self is an important step towards living authentically. So when we understand, okay, this is part of me, this is what I've got, and okay, but I don't want this to be the focus of my life. I want my authentic self to be the focus. And when the shadow comes up, it's thank you for sharing. Let me look at that, or let me forgive that situation. What do I want to do with it? Next. How do we do that? All right. I love this. So first off, eyes wide open, facing it, asking what triggers me. But you want to know something really quick to get to it? You sit down with a pen and a paper and you pick someone in your life or a specific situation might happen and write everything about that annoys you or upsets you. Hello, you just met Shadow. But it's a good way of doing it, and it's a dump at the same time. You're putting this out there so that you can look at it and you can go, okay, that's my shadow. Well, shadow, how do you do? Now, what does my light say to do? What does that wonderful divine voice in me tell me to do? And it'll say, ain't your problem. Come over here. So it can be that simple. But it's simple in understanding. Sometimes it's not simple in the change, but understand the shadow gives us the opportunity of growing, of moving through something that's uncomfortable to stand in the light. That's what's important. All right, so asking what triggers me. But again, that writing that journal and writing everything what somebody does that annoys you, or a certain kind of people, or whatever, that can be your shadow side. All right, next. All right, so other things is what I call meditation, right? Go into that prayerful state and into meditation and saying, God, show me my triggers. God, show me my shadow self. Now, you're more than welcome to say, God, show me my shadow, but be gentle. I don't want to come out of this depressed, right? I mean, you're allowed to say that if you're afraid of addressing the shadow. Now, you may not want to say, God, show me how the shadow shows up for me, because you might not like it when the phone rings. And who might be on the call? So it's because, you might want it a more gentle. It's again, okay, God, show me what it is in here. Tell me what it is that is my shadow. And chances are it's not just one thing. It can be a bunch of things. But you could say, God, what is the seed to my depression? What is the seed to my depression? And you sit with that. Now, here's the thing is if you sat in meditation 5 minutes with that or 10 minutes with that and you're not getting anything, there might be a fear there of finding what it is. Keep going back to the table. And each time in your prayer, say, God, thank you for opening up my mind to see the shadow. because it depends on how many layers of protection, how much on the offensive we are and on the defensive we are at being able to see that. We don't like to know all the bad things because people tell us enough of it, right? People, so we're like, I don't want to agree with them. I want to show that I'm better than that. So we have a fear of addressing that shadow. Journaling can help. So it's, again, writing those feelings. Why am I feeling this way? But being okay with it, because this is an opportunity for our growth and to overcome it. And if you feel like you need counseling, if you need a psychiatrist or psychologist or a counselor or pastoral counseling, whatever it is that you think you might need, give yourself the opportunity to do that and to go into that. But one of the best things that you can do is the prayer and the meditation work and going in and saying, okay, God, I'm ready to start seeing my shadow, but please show me something that would be easy first. Show me something that's easy. I know that we don't like the word please, but it's still the only way I know how to explain it. Sometimes we're asking for something that's not going to put us in a downward spiral, right? So we want to be able to address it a little at a time. And sometimes, so a moment when I did this, God says, well, just look around. You know what it is. Just look around. You already know. Thank you very much. Just look around. Look and see what's going on. So the shadow is something that we all carry. And part of it comes from, again, how we were raised, our past lives, all of the things that the soul holds, that part of us that all of a sudden felt unworthy of God and unworthy of the light. And we are deserving of the highest and the best because we are God. We are the light. So we are not broken. You are not broken. You've never been broken. And as the song said, you're flawless. That's what to keep in mind. So this is an opportunity to step up and to grow further, to get more understanding of that light, of who we are, of who I am from the Christ consciousness, of moving forward. It's not something to run away from. Okay? Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean that everybody has to agree right now they have shadow work to do. Right? You're going to know if you do or not. And you can choose to work with it and you can choose to let it go. But we can't run from ourselves. We can't. It's just, we're going to keep chasing us. So it's better just to stop and to go in and allow that opportunity for that healing to take place. All right. So that said, let's go to the light. So let's take a deep breath in and let it out. And let's take a really deep breath in, going into the light within. And holding just a second that breath in that light. And allowing that light on the exhale to flow through every cell and fiber of your being and through your mind, washing away all the sin, which is error thinking. Let's take another deep breath in, tapping into that love in that light, allowing that wonderful openness to tap in, be in that light, exhaling that love and that light throughout our entire being, letting go of all illusion. And let's take a deep breath in and feel the peace and possibly even the joy that resides within that oneness, exhaling it through the body. Divine Beloved, I see the light. I feel the light. I see the love, and I feel the love. And I open my mind and my heart to be in that space, knowing that I am safe. that at any moment in time in my day, that if the shadow shows up, I start with forgiveness. And I love what it brings to my mind as the opportunity for growth. Knowing there is no darkness that the light cannot penetrate. My heart and mind are clear. I am one. I am healed. I am happy. I am whole. And I accept that it is in my nature to grow, and that challenges or fears are opportunities to let the light in. And I am embraced with the light of love. And so it is. Amen and amen.